Hello everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak to you today. I'm very honored and happy to be able to do so, but I'd like to apologize for not being able to be here in person with you. I hope this recording will do the trick. It might even be better because if I had spoken to you in the middle of the night, I may have been a little bit tired. In any case, my name is Anne. I'm the director of VINNOVA's office here in Silicon Valley. And during the presentation here today, I'd like to tell you a little bit about why VINNOVA has decided to open up an office here. I'll give you a few insights into what really constitutes the ecosystem of Silicon Valley. And I'd also like to share some of the success factors of what really makes up the Silicon Valley culture and what we might want to be inspired by in Sweden. So the purpose of opening up an office here in Silicon Valley was really for VINNOVA to make sure that we were strongly connected to the innovation hub here in Silicon Valley. Now, why is that important? Well, as I think most people would agree, Silicon Valley is, without any doubt, the innovation hub capital of the world. And I'm saying this in spite of the fact that there are many other innovation hubs now appearing all over the world. And of course in Sweden also, I mean, we usually pride ourselves of being in the forefront with a very active startup scene of ourselves and with companies that are really innovative. Nevertheless, Silicon Valley really stands out, not just due to its size, but also to its dynamical way of always being able to reinvent itself over the years. So I'll get back to what really makes Silicon Valley special, but first let me just say a few words about VINNOVA and what we're trying to achieve here. Well, in general, of course, VINNOVA's presence here should really contribute to the overall mission of VINNOVA, which is to increase Sweden's innovation capacity for sustainable growth and for the benefit of society. So our operations here are foremost intended to really add value to this mission. The main activities of the office can be sorted into three different parts. First, forward-looking activities, like trying to understand current trends. And by that I mean not only technology trends, but also trends with regards to the innovation system here. For VINNOVA, it's very important to understand what the policy implications of such trends may be. Like, should we implement a new program? Or should we change something we are currently doing? Are there maybe other implications that concern other ministries that we should draw to their attention? Second, how can we leverage the current investments in our portfolio by providing closer connections between Sweden and the ecosystem here in Silicon Valley? I can get back to a little bit later to also how we work more practically, especially with startups. But last, since we are here in the Valley, it's also our mission to try to increase the awareness in the Valley of Sweden as a very interesting country with a strong history of innovation. We want to make sure that Sweden really is on the radar of companies or others when looking for strategic partners or early adopter markets, etc. So trying to understand what is the value proposition of Sweden and how can that match the needs here, and see if we can get some inward movements back into Sweden. To better be able to address the needs of startups, I took the initiative about a year ago together with the other Nordic bridge organizations to create a Nordic platform for collaboration centered around what's called the Nordic Innovation House, located in Palo Alto. The main purpose of this collaboration is really to lower the thresholds for Nordic startups to access Silicon Valley. We provide a soft landing space, which is in this Nordic Innovation House. You can rent some desks there if you like, or just be a non-resident member as well. You will get access to mentors, but most of all, you will access our joint network of industry experts, of domain experts and investors and others who in one way or another may add value to the startups. It's all about helping them access the right knowledge and people so that they can improve the odds for becoming successful and hopefully to be able to scale up and really become large global players. This is one of the challenges that we have back in the Nordics, that even though we have many startups, we do have certain challenges and difficulties in seeing them scale. This is where Silicon Valley really can add both the knowledge of how to do it, but also the network to actually be able to execute on it. Now, working together with the other Nordics, it makes all the sense in the world, because here the Nordic brand is really strong, but nobody really cares if you're Swedish or Norwegian or Finnish. So together we're much stronger than if we would just work as individual countries promoting ourselves. This whole initiative has gratefully been funded partly by the Nordic Ministry of Councils, but also by our national bridge organizations. Lots of books have been written about Silicon Valley over the years, comparing Silicon Valley to other parts of the US, like the Boston area, or to Cambridge in England. And many, many people have been coming here to try to discover what is the secret of Silicon Valley. During the years that I've lived here, I've seen many, many Swedish delegations come, people, politicians like ministers or members of parliament, people from the industry, financial sector, universities, even royalty have been traveling here, also in the very similar way. You come for a week, you really want to understand what's going on, and then you go back. And I think it's great that we try to be inspired, because what's happening here is really quite unique. But I think we should remember that it is also very, very difficult to recreate. And instead, we should probably have a different mindset. We should think, this is just as much our ecosystem as anyone else's. I mean, after all, it's the globalized world, right? So let's make use of the strengths of Silicon Valley together with the strength that we have back home, and really try to connect the two ecosystems instead. So having said this, and of course it's an idea that I think is very easy to make sense of, but what does it mean really? I mean, how do we really do that? And I think that there are no shortcuts. It means that more people in Sweden really need to develop deeper contacts with players here in the Valley. You need to come, you need to have a purpose with your visits, you need to keep in touch and also keep coming back, so that people really see you as somebody that they develop relationship with. Like I said earlier, there have been many, many studies on Silicon Valley culture. I just want to mention one which came out here in 2014, was from Accenture. They published the result of a survey of more than 600 full-time IT professionals. Roughly half were based in Silicon Valley, and the other half were scattered throughout the United States. And they summarized their findings into a few main characteristics where the IT professionals in Silicon Valley differed from their colleagues in the rest of the country. So one of the things that they point out is that, of course, people here in California will appear very laid back and informal. Most meetings will take place in coffee shops. I've had very few meetings in formal meeting rooms, to be honest. But the truth of the matter is that people work really, really hard and are under very, very large pressure. Product development cycles for many companies typically span just weeks, not months. And the whole culture is based on just getting things done. Done is better than perfect. Furthermore, the IT professionals here are more loyal to their work and to their co-workers rather than to their company. Their main drive is really to work on cool and important technology. And this is one of the reasons for quite a high rate of mobility, which of course acts as a catalyst for rapid knowledge transfer and the recombination of ideas and knowledge, which I guess we all know is very, very important for a high rate of innovation. I also just want to mention that California stands out policy-wise, since companies here are not allowed to enforce the non-compete clauses. So you can actually start or join a competing business right after leaving your employer. You leave on Friday, you can start a new business on Monday. Another very important factor here is the openness. People are very willing to share and have, ever since the early Silicon Valley era in the 50s, had a very open attitude. If you look at the web, you'll see that there are lots of meetups every day on every possible topic. And in the survey, it was shown that more than twice as many IT professionals in Silicon Valley compared with their non-Silicon Valley counterparts reported that they actively take part in open source projects. Last, I just want to say a few words about risk-taking, which is a very, very important part of the culture here. People in the Valley's tech industry know that failures are inevitable, but they're also very confident that any problem can eventually be solved. This is a huge optimism that you find here on the West Coast. The work culture allows for greater experimentation and innovation, which ultimately increase the chances of success. And given the volatility and uncertainty of Silicon Valley's tech industry, risk-taking is a matter of being a pragmatic. As Mark Zuckerberg once said, the biggest risk is not taking any risk. In a world that's changing really quickly, the only strategy that is guaranteed to fail is not taking risks. Now, if you ask a VC here in the Valley, what is a very, very important characteristic in an entrepreneur? What are you looking for? Many here will say, we're looking for somebody who can feel true empathy. Now, this may come a little bit as a surprise, but what they actually mean is that they want to have entrepreneurs that truly, truly are able to walk in the shoes of the customer. And that means that you really, really understand what the true market need is, not just have an idea what you think the market needs or the market wants or the customer wants, but that you really, really understand the deep behavior of your customer. This is so important and cannot be emphasized enough. You need to constantly validate that you're on the right track. Do it, try it, fix it. That's what it says on the wall at Facebook. There is so much more we can still learn from Silicon Valley and be inspired by. And there are so many benefits that we can also have from connecting to Silicon Valley without necessarily taking the big step of moving everything over here. I like to quote Morten Mikkos, former CEO of MySQL, when he says that you don't necessarily need to be in Silicon Valley, but Silicon Valley needs to be in you. So thank you very much for listening. I wish you a really great day and hope to connect with you sometime in the future. Bye-bye.